Hey everyone, it's James here. So this video is just a bit about how you can actually make money through SEO. Obviously on sites like YouTube and wherever else you can see all these get rich quick things. This isn't that. It's just kind of a realistic breakdown on how you can actually make money doing SEO properly. And these are all different ways that I've actually used to either make money or continue to use to make money as well. So that's about it for the intro. Let's jump into how you can get making some money. Okay, so the first way, and probably one of the most common ways, is offering a monthly management service to a client. So whether that's your, freelance SEO consultant like myself, or you start in an agency, you want to run your own agency and retain clients that way, then naturally it's going to be on a monthly management basis. Now, this approach isn't for everyone. I'm quite comfortable with it because I come from an agency background, so I'm used to working with clients and managing clients and all that sort of stuff. But if you're fairly new to SEO and you're jumping in at the deep end there, then you might find it quite stressful because you're constantly having to hit the targets that either your client wants to set or that you're setting yourself. Obviously they're paying and they expect a certain amount of results, so there's a little bit of pressure that goes along with that. The way that I found that you can mitigate kind of having angry clients on the phone is setting those expectations straight away. So letting them know that SEO isn't just a quick fix. They're not going to get to the top of Google overnight. Another thing is that it obviously they need to be aware that it never really ends. You're never really done. When you think of how many Google algorithm updates are happening constantly, either the ones they let us know about or the ones that they don't, plus the levels of competition that they're no doubt up against, it's a never-ending battle. So they need to be on board with that, and you're obviously their chosen person to do that for them. And like I say, just setting those expectations based on their budgets, and that's another thing as well, is obviously when you're starting out, generally you'll just take on any and every client that comes your way, regardless of budget, just because you want to get started on these monthly management packages. What I found though is pricing your packages a little bit higher, so you're actually doing more for the clients that you retain. It's not that you're just putting your prices up for the sake of it, but then you're not getting these time waster inquiries where they expect a monthly management for $10 a month sort of thing. It's never going to happen. Yeah, and obviously the pros with that one is that it can be good money. I've managed to go freelance for myself. I built up a remote agency around me and a couple of different businesses. I'll get to the different ones later in this video. But yeah, as a start, monthly management is one of the more common ways, whether it's agency side or if you're doing it for yourself. And it's certainly one that makes sense if you're comfortable doing that. Okay, the second way is building up your own blog and monetizing it. So I would urge anyone who's looking to get into SEO to do this first. So before you work with any clients or do anything, try to build and properly SEO some sites yourself, ones that you've built and that you fully understand and that you're invested in. So for example, when I very first started out, I made a website about guitars. It's something that I've done for years, so I knew the sector, I knew the industry, I knew what people search before I even did any research. It was fairly easy to know what people were looking for. So that's what I say to anyone, when I'm doing training or whatever else, is if you are going to go down this angle, then unless you've got someone to pay who's going to sort content for you and do all the management for you, then you're certainly better off writing about something that you already know. Otherwise it's going to get very tedious very, very quickly. And that's that thing as well, is if you're just trying to chase the high affiliate commissions, and you're going to get burnt out and bored pretty quickly. Things like insurance and gambling naturally pay really high in terms of affiliate commissions, but if you're not interested in it and you don't have someone to outsource the content to, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to stick with it. So like I say, kind of start that hobby site first. What's great is that you can test things on those sites. You can make them, break them, play around with them, and you're not doing it with the client site. If something happens, it's only on you. So obviously the sooner you can do that sort of stuff and learn from it, in my opinion, that's the best way to learn, is to actually just get stuck in and do it. I definitely recommend that if you're thinking about going down the blogging route. And don't forget as well, obviously it isn't just using affiliate links to monetize your blog. In the SEO space, you've got everything from guest posts, sponsored posts, niche edits, link inserts. You know, you could let a store in your sector take over all your banner space for a week or whatever it might be. Your biggest battle is just getting traffic into it. How you then go on to monetize that, there's tons of different options, and I'll make a couple of different videos about that later down the line. But for now, I'd say think about what you'd actually be interested in writing about and just get started. Okay, so this third one is one that I don't do anymore, just because I'm lucky that I have a steady flow of clients through things like my consultancy site, LinkedIn, and very lucky to have, you know, referrals and things like that. But when I was first starting out, I can't deny the role that sites like Upwork and People Per Hour and those sorts of sites did. And I know they get slated, and I know, you know, they're not exactly favourable sites, but at the same time, when it comes to finding those first few clients, they really helped me out. And I've actually had a couple that stayed on for quite a few years, you know, when I moved away from the platforms. So it's not even that you can't find decent clients in there. It's just that at the start, you've just got to know where to look. So for example, I'd set quite a high budget just to kind of weed out any of the time wasters, set it to UK and US specific. And I really took the time to go through the listings and speak to people who were looking for SEO. You know, at that point, I was offering stuff like free website audits. You know, I'd have a call with them for an hour for free just to get them on board. You know, I'm not saying that that's what you'd have to do, but that's what worked for me. But yeah, if you are struggling to find those clients in other areas, then it's certainly something to check out. Even Fiverr, I've had when I used to do quite a lot of copywriting. Now I have my agency, Complete White Label, where we have a team of copywriters, so people log in to buy content from us from 500 words to 50,000 words. But when I was very first starting out, I did a lot of copywriting myself. And Fiverr was actually pretty good at getting some decent clients in through that, so that's another one you should check out. But yeah, like I said, it's not that they're amazing, but they're certainly better than nothing if you're struggling otherwise. You know, if you don't have any contacts or any referrals coming in, you don't have a site that's ranking organically, then naturally you will be able to find something. It's just up to you if you're willing to sit there and take the time to actually find something that's decent. Okay, this fourth one is something that not a lot of people really talk about, but certainly in the marketing space it tends to make sense. And it's the same in most industries as well. It's just to become really, really good at one specific thing. So you become known as the link building person, or the content person, or the digital PR person, whatever it might be. But generally, you know, if people know that they need that specific service and they're searching for it, and you've built a site around it. So for example, mine is more generic SEO. Like I said, I do the consultancy and I have a small agency, so I can offer all those different things. I'm trying to go after stuff like training at the minute, so I'm gearing my site towards that. But you know, you see things like people having, like, so for example, jamestaylorpr.co.uk, and then I could say I specialise in digital PR and link building. Some people specialise in just doing website audits, for example, and they're really, really good at that. They're known for doing that, and they can charge quite a premium for it. So obviously you've got to really know what you're doing with that. I think if you were going to go down that angle, and it seems in this industry specifically, to sort of do well down that angle, you have to have obviously quite a lot of experience. So you get a lot of people who work agency side or in-house for quite a number of years, and in that time they're building up their contacts in the industry, they're talking at events and all this sort of stuff. And then when it comes to them to go self-employed, to go as a consultant, freelance, whatever, build their own agency, they're already known for doing that thing. So it's not to say that you have to go down that route, but naturally, you know, with any business, the more people that you know and who can vouch for you, the better. And obviously if someone was in the digital marketing department of a business and was like, right, we need a website audit. Okay, well, we know John Smith is the website audit guy because that's all he ever talks about. We've seen him at industries, we've seen him on social media, etc. So I can certainly see how it works. Okay, number 5, and one that I absolutely love doing, is teaching. So that isn't just kind of selling a set course for 50 quid. It's bespoke training for clients. So, you know, I get something more out of it because, you know, I can spend more time one-to-one with a client, put together a bespoke training course. They get more out of it because it's literally based on their site, the needs of their niche or whatever it might be. And yeah, it's just really enjoyable. It's a nice different change of pace. You know, we can just kind of book some time in, put something together on my end, and then we can just go through it. Now obviously with teaching, teaching anything, you need to know what you're talking about. I didn't actually start offering this until I felt I'd come far enough to completely cover what I was talking about. Whether it's anything from tech SEO, content, link building, basically anything they wanted to ask about SEO and wanted to include in a course. I wanted to offer that, and obviously I needed the time and the experience to do so. So yeah, but I mean, there's loads of different options when it comes to training. You can put courses together. I'm not knocking them. It's just that it's not something that I'm really interested in doing. I'd rather do less and do this bespoke angle. But you could always do things like beginner courses once you've learned whatever it is that you're doing, and certainly in the SEO space there's no shortage of those. So if you find something that you really do like talking about, for me it's affiliates and just general organic SEO strategies, but there might be something really specific that you get really good at, and you want to share your knowledge. So training's a really good way to do that. So number 6 is link building, or probably more broadly offering outreach as a service. So obviously that would come under the general SEO umbrella, but I wanted to include that one specifically because sometimes that's just what people are looking for, and link building in general is quite a sticking point for most people. So especially if it's a client coming to you with an e-commerce store or something like that, they're not going to know where to start with link building. And I found that a lot of businesses, whether they had SEO, content, whatever it was in-house, they still tend to struggle a fair bit with link building. So what you can do there, is offer, again, this sort of monthly managed approach or custom packages based on what they need. Now, I'm not advocating that you go and just take their money and buy a load of links from Fiverr or something. This is more the angle of they're essentially paying for your time to do the outreach. I found that works best. So they might pay for a day's worth of your time spread across a month, and you can spend that doing blogger outreach, digital PR, pitching journalists, putting press releases together, going through sites like Help a Reporter Out and all that good stuff. Proper link building takes time. It's a very time intensive process, and it can take quite a while to build up those relationships, whether it's with bloggers, publishers, whatever it might be. If you're looking to put, say, a statistics landing page together to use as a tool for outreach to bloggers and journos, then obviously that's going to take time as well. But generally, I think it's better for everyone if you're doing that much more organic approach. That's something that I do, and I've found works much better than buying shit links. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of different ways to do it with the link building angle. That's the way that I do it. You might want to go down the PBN route and that side of things, and as long as you know what you're getting into, totally fine. I'm certainly not against them for my own sites. It's not something that I do for clients. Again, it's finding what you're really good at within each of those specific things as well, and just going all in on it. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for link building to do that. Okay, number 7, and another one that I've already spoke about quite a bit, is offering copywriting and content as a service. So like I said, this is something that I did when I was just getting off the ground, and I've managed to build a white label agency around that now, where we supply affiliate website owners, agencies, commercial clients, with things like blog posts, guest post content, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you're getting started, obviously content is vital to SEO success, and it's something that a lot of people just don't want to do. So a lot of the time they will flock to sites like Upwork and People Per Hour, etc. And also, you'll very easily be able to find copywriting work through Facebook groups if you price competitively. And like I said, obviously when you're trying to get started, you're a little bit more inclined to take those lower paying jobs just to sort of get some recurring work in. What I will say is obviously it's time intensive, like anything to do with that. You are the one who's sat down writing, unless you're actually selling it as a service in terms of you've got a team around you. But when it's just you, it's your time. But like I said, if the price works for you and what someone's willing to pay, then it can be quite an easy life just writing stuff. And personally I find it quite enjoyable. You might not, but like I said, it's all about exploring those little sectors within the wider umbrella of SEO and finding out what you actually want to do, and then go all in on that. Okay, so number 8, we've already talked about this a little bit. So this is making courses. So like we're saying, it's not like I'm against them, it's just that I prefer the bespoke angle of training. Courses can take a lot of time to set up, and if you don't have an audience in place to sell them to, then it can be quite a long process and seem like one of those things where you could put months and months and months into it and then there's no one there to promote them to, obviously, unless you're doing paid promotion. Even then, it's such a saturated market, and there's things like Udemy, you know, they're selling courses for literally £4 or £5. But that's not to say that it's not something that you can't do. And like I was saying, you might see more success if you do something a little bit more specific. So, you know, if you become known as the person, as the link building person, then you can do, you know, a beginner's course on link building, an advanced course on link building, one on digital PR, one on how to use Helper Reporter out efficiently, you know. So there's no shortage of them. It's just, I think you do much better with that if you target a more specific audience and offer a more specific product rather than just a generic SEO course. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. I think for me, I prefer the training angle, but you might find that, you know, you've already got the knowledge, you've already got the audience, it makes sense to do a course, and then, you know, it's very hands-off in the future. So that's the advantage of a course, is obviously once you've sold it, unless you're offering ongoing support or some kind of subscription model, that's pretty much your job done. Whereas obviously with the training, you know, it's someone paying for your time, so it can be a little bit more labour intensive on the training side. So number 9 is start an agency. This was something I kind of accidentally did, and I've never had an agency in the sense of bricks and mortar, gigantic team sort of thing, but I've almost accidentally built up a team around me that offer exactly what an agency does. It's just that we're not all in one place. But I mean, as you start to get more clients, and you know, naturally the more clients you have, the less time you would have if you were doing purely consultancy. Then if you're still looking to scale past that point, then you're going to have to get a team around you. And obviously it can be very profitable. The way that I did it was essentially just speak to people that I used to work with agency side and people that I've known in the industry who either do freelance or would be interested in partnering up. And slowly grew it that way. What it has allowed me to do is target things twofold. So the consultancy side, so I have a consultancy site I can target those terms with, SEO consultant, SEO freelancer, and then the agency side to target agency terms like SEO agency Manchester, that sort of stuff. It just gives you a little bit more of a wider reach. Personally, I wouldn't want a big agency. I'm not really suited to that, you know, being the big boss type of thing. I think the way things are at the minute work really well. Some people want that, you know, they want the big office, they want the 50+ person team, and you know, more power to them. Obviously there's probably a fair bit of money in that, I would imagine, if you can do that. But then obviously you've got a legit business on your hands. Then, you know, you're paying rent, you're paying employees, etc. Whereas when you're keeping things remote, your overheads are naturally a lot lower, so you can actually compete a little bit more in terms of prices, and ultimately that's what the clients really care about. But yeah, I mean, there's none of these points in here where I'm saying you shouldn't do them, but certainly with this whole agency angle, is I sort of got to this remote point and stopped there. I just kind of call it an agency because it's a collective of a team that I've put together. It's easy just to say agency. But yeah, there you go, that's my thoughts on that one. And then the final one, point 10, is offering a white label service. So this is usually where someone like a larger agency will get in touch with someone like me, like an SEO consultant, or someone like me who has that remote team where my day rate is a lot cheaper than the agency. They'll get us to sign a non-disclosure agreement, outsource the work to us, we do it. They pass that off as their own work, and then there we go, you know, the client's happy. The upside for the person doing the white label is that generally you don't speak to the client because you've signed a non-disclosure agreement, and the person or the business that you're white labeling for, they've actually gone and got the work, they've done the hard bit, it's just up to you to actually complete the work. So this is one that goes on a lot, but you know, it's not really talked about. But white label certainly is something that's really helped me out. Even now, a vast majority of the work that I do is this sort of white label approach, whether it's for agencies or other freelancers. I've launched a new site, Complete White Label, where people can log on and buy content and outreach services and things like that, and it's completely managed. So it's meaning that agencies aren't having to hire, or you know, they're not having to hire a full team, and there's a lot less competition around those sorts of things as well, you know, trying to rank for white label SEO freelance or white label SEO agency compared to SEO agency. You know, you can imagine the difference in the difficulties there. but you're essentially doing the same thing. Obviously you'll have to charge less than an agency would because they have to make profit as well, but the way I see it, you know, I'm more than happy to charge less because they're getting the work in and they're talking to the client. They'll keep you on the books, they'll keep coming to you. There's another way you can do things as well, which worked really well for me, was reaching out to development agencies or businesses that were in the digital sector but they didn't do SEO, but they did something around digital. So for example, I reached out to a Magento agency. That's all they do is build Magento websites. I just said to him, I was like, look, after you build a site for someone, naturally they're going to start asking about SEO and marketing. If you want to pass someone to me, I'll give you commission, or we can do this white label way where you say you're doing it and I complete the work and you take the cut. Usually they'll just say, yeah, we'll pass work on a commission basis, and I tend to just give commission ongoing, because obviously the more commission you give, the more incentive they have to keep supplying you with that. But those two, you know, either or, whether you're doing the work and they're passing it off as their own or it's just on a referral basis, it can work so well. And it's really surprising how many different businesses don't think about that. So when you actually reach out to them, like, oh yeah, we're missing a trick here, but a lot of the time they don't want to hire, they don't even want to entertain building teams in-house or adding a whole additional service. It's just a lot easier for them to take that commission every month. So yeah, cheers if you made it to the end of this. I know there's obviously way more than 10. I just wanted to weigh in on the 10 that I've tried and different opinions that I have on them. If you like this video, drop me a comment. I was thinking of doing a series around affiliate marketing, some around white label SEO and that sort of stuff. So if there's anything specific that you want to see, just drop me a comment. Yeah, any thoughts for any additional videos, you know, I'm open to suggestions, so just let me know.